Andres Albuquerque, and thank you for joining us again on this program. A lot of news this week, and we're going to go over some of it. It's been coming in fast and furious. We're having trouble sort of keeping up with it. So much going on. I think without a doubt the news of the week that has really sort of taken over all the headlines, and including from the pandemic and COVID-19 and everything else, is what's been going on in Minneapolis. The death of George Floyd has obviously once again brought us to racial divisions and riots in this country. My perception is, Andres, quite frankly, I mean, what caught my eye was a friend of mine who is a police chief here in Miami, and I don't want to mention his name right now, but he actually came out very
that come from the body to the brain,
Sure.
to rule the way we function, the way we work. That's how God made us. Are going to be interrupted. Are going to be cut. So the person dies. But I saw his face. I saw the cop's face while looking at the camera, like there's nothing to it. Like I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get a medal after this. So his attitude, his demeanor, shows me that he thought he was doing the right thing. I think it's not only the cop in this case. I think it's the whole department that has to be investigated. I mean, where are the protocols there?
There's no doubt that the other officers that were there are just as guilty as he was.
Complicit.
Okay?
Complicit.
I mean, if you're sitting there and you're watching somebody who's basically gasping for air, you know, a colleague of yours has his knee on his neck, and as this police chief friend of mine said, where's the threat? I mean, the guy's basically handcuffed. He's on his stomach. He's on the ground. He's got fellow police officers around him backing him up. Why did he have to do that? Why did he have to press his knee up against the guy's throat and basically choke the life out of him? These are the things that luckily don't happen that often in America. But when they do happen...
Once is one too many.
Yeah, once is one too many. And when they do happen, particularly in this age of everybody with cell phones, and the cops now themselves, you know, carrying the cameras, this is going to get out. It's going to get out, and it's gotten out. It's gone viral across the U.S. And now we're seeing not just, you know, these images in country. I read early this morning. Apparently, there was another shooting of a black person, I think in Kentucky or something. More riots forming there. Look, you know, unfortunately. Andres, I think you know, like you said, I mean, there's obviously something going on here, whether it's the way we're training some of these police officers, like lack of protocols, whatever. But again, man, you wouldn't want that for anybody. Black, white,
I don't
Asian,
care.
whatever.
It could have been you. It could have been your children.
It's
it could have been.
irrelevant,
It could have been anywhere.
You've got somebody handcuffed. He's on the floor. You've got a bunch of police officers around with you, and you've got this guy pressing down on his neck. The guy's basically pleading that he can't breathe, and you basically kill him?
Let me put it to you this way. If you're caught doing that to a dog in the middle of the street,
sure,
you're punished.
Animal cruelty, you know?
So why so long to punish somebody who has done it to a human being? Yeah. That's what I don't get here.
Yeah.
That's what I don't get here. Let's go to the next news.
So you know, that to me, listen, I mean, it's something we got to deal with as a society. It's an ugly sort of legacy that we're still dealing with here in the United States. But again, it's, you know, forget about, I mean, the racial overtones. I mean, this is just human to human, man. You just don't do that to people. And I think you're absolutely right, man. I mean, there need to be criminal charges here.
And right
Not-
away.
not
Right
ju-
away.
not
It's
just
been
for
already
this-
a week and we
Well,
are wasting
look,
time.
luckily Trump has come out and basically said,
Thank
look,
God.
he's
Thank God.
basically, asked the FBI to
It's
look
fast
into
tracking
it.
the whole thing.
Have the FBI look into it because, obviously this guy's civil rights were violated
Evidently.
and his life was basically taken away from him. So I'm glad to see that there hopefully will be some progress made there, but the people there need to be brought into account.
Okay.
Other big issue today, even though it sort of has disappeared a little bit from the headlines, we saw yesterday the latest unemployment numbers. 6 million people added to the unemployment rolls. We now have over 40 million people unemployed in America. As I've been saying for several weeks, we have now gotten to the point where we have 1 in 4 Americans are basically unemployed. We are reaching a real unemployment rate of about 25%. And the other thing that caught my eye, I don't know if many of you saw it, but once again, the investment bank of Goldman Sachs coming out and saying that this is going to go on for a while, folks. I mean, this is not going to be
a
quick recovery. I saw on Fox, Fox tried to give it a positive spin, basically said that to a certain extent, and I think we have a graph here that shows it, if we could, on the screen here, it shows that basically the number of continuing claims has started to go down. So what that means is that even though there are new people coming into the system and claiming unemployment, people are assistance to help them survive during that bout of unemployment. Apparently what the Europeans are doing as a result of what's been going on in Europe, because obviously they're in the same situation, is they are actually giving monies directly to the employers so that the employers can keep them on the payroll and can keep them coming in to their regular place of work. So you may own a bakery in Italy, and your bakery may only earn 25%, but you still have employees working there for you, and their salaries are being subsidized by the government. In other words, the government is apparently providing financial assistance to those employers to keep people employed. And what Goldman was saying was that the way that we've structured it here, there's almost a disincentive for some people to return back to work because they're getting the $600 from the federal assistance, half of the state contribution, and people have really no incentive to go back to work so long as directly to them.
Yeah.
So Goldman's point in the article was that it would be useful to take a look at some of these alternatives as a way of incentivizing people to go back to work.
would say,
and it was what Mitch Kaplan told us, that for him to get his employees back, it'd be useful to have them enticed back to work because their salaries are going to be paid by him as the employer with a subsidy from the government.
And I agree with you. We have to think out of the box. But before we copy anything from Europe, we have to be very careful.
Sure. I mean, look. I mean, Europe is not. Never has been
It's not a
for
model
me.
of anything.
It's not the model of anything. But the point that Goldman Sachs is not exactly a European firm.
I see.
US firm.
But yeah, it's good to look at it, but carefully. Anyway,
there's been some talk that the U.S. government is actually looking at some sort of a bonus to get people to go back to work, so that they'll pay you in essence to get your old job back or incentivize you to go back to work. But Goldman's point in that article was that to the extent that people have been laid off, they may not go back to their old employers. I mean, they might be looking for jobs elsewhere,
and they might get them.
Because that connection between the old employer and the employee
No love lost.
has been severed, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it'll be interesting to see what happens, and that's one of the reasons they think that it's going to be a bit delayed.
What about Hong Kong?
Hong Kong, I think, is absolutely another big issue that we have to pay attention to, and in fact, we've got a guest coming on shortly to talk about that situation in depth. But it appears pretty obvious by now that the relationship between the United States and China has basically very strained. I think it started with the COVID-19, the pandemic. You recall, 6 months ago, Donald Trump was, not even 6 months ago, I won't say back in January, it was not even 6 months, 5 months ago. Donald Trump was all happy and in a good mood because we had reached this trade agreement with China, was looking forward to the Chinese buying a lot more agricultural equipment and manufactured equipment from the US. And then suddenly, come February, March, we start getting into this pandemic. And as more and more information comes out about the pandemic, we find out that China withheld information, was late in letting the rest of the world know what was going on within its borders, did not really close air travel to many parts of the world, allowing it to spread the virus around the world. And increasingly, there's been more evidence that the Chinese could have done a lot more to put the brakes on the coronavirus back when it first, showed its ugly face in Wuhan. That's where the relationship began to deteriorate. But what's happened also in the last couple of days and couple of weeks, if you will, there have been other things that have been coming on.
They have a rift with India. There are some movements in the border, sure. And I think Trump offered to be a mediator if both parties thought he would be the right person for it, or that we would be the right party to it. And evidently, or apparently, the Chinese said no.
Yeah.
Thanks, but no
well,
thanks.
Well, look, that border war between India and China has been going on for a long period of time. I think they actually had a small war over it back in the 60s or something. And as you know, Trump has developed a very close relationship with Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister of India. India is seen by the United States as a great sort of
alternative to China,
a counterbalance militarily and economically. Of sort of Western capitalism, the English model, if you will, that they come from. So I think that this is shaping up to be a very interesting dynamic that's taking place now. Remember when Modi was here in the U.S., he got a great reception from Trump. Trump went over to India. He was a rock star over there. And that relationship now, you see the U.S. beginning to side very strongly with India against China, understanding India could prove to be a very powerful ally. The other thing that happened this week, which I want to talk to our guest Tom Spencer about, is the situation with the CFO of Huawei in Canada. This woman, Zhang Huao, is the daughter of the founder of Huawei. Excuse me. And back in December of last year, she was actually arrested in Vancouver, returning. She has a home in Vancouver. And she was actually arrested because the U.S. has pressed fraud charges against her for basically violating the sanctions against Iran. What I understand happened was that she was allowing money to be repatriated from Iran using Huawei's bank accounts in order to pay off another Chinese company that's controlled by them that had sold goods to Iran in violation of U.S. trade sanctions against that country. And the U.S. found evidence of that, wants her returned to U.S. soil and face trials for it. But as you can imagine, this woman is the CFO of the biggest private employer in China. They have
private, quote unquote.
Yeah, they have 180,000 employees and very influential in China. And so that's, created
A strong heart is a happy heart. Your body's systems depend on a healthy cardiovascular system to thrive. Without a healthy heart, you could experience symptoms like fatigue, aches and pains, dizziness, or shortness of breath. Youngevity developed Ultimate EFA Plus with a proprietary balanced blend of essential fatty acids. We started with flaxseed oil. It's been shown to improve the elasticity of arteries and support healthy blood pressure. Next, we included cold water fish oils, rich in omega-3s that can promote a healthy cardiovascular system and even increase levels of good HDL cholesterol. Then we added borage oil, known for its powerful anti-inflammatory properties. Blended together, these essential fatty acids provide you with the optimal blend of nutrients to help maintain normal cardiovascular health. Ultimate EFA Plus, the right nutrients to improve your heart health naturally. To learn more, contact your Youngevity associate.
Paying attention to your overall health also means focusing on the command center of it all, your brain. Factors like stress, lack of sleep, poor diet, a sedentary lifestyle, and the bombardment of pollutants and toxins can all diminish brain and neural functions. When was the last time you concentrated on your brain health? Synaptive by Youngevity is a cutting-edge, unique brain support supplement that delivers powerful nutrients both immediately and throughout the day. Its anti-stress nutrients provide instant brain-boosting support that helps with mental focus and cognitive activity. To enhance your body's neuroprotection, Synaptive's full-spectrum antioxidant blend targets 6 major classes of free radicals that inhibit brain function. This powerful nutrient combination also promotes healthy blood flow to the brain. Synaptive, optimal antioxidant neuroprotection and support for a healthy brain. Now that's something to think about. To learn more, contact your Youngevity associate.
Cardio Beats from Youngevity supports a healthy cardiovascular system and helps supply the nutrients your body needs to support better physical endurance. Your capacity to last a little longer is largely based on how well your cardiovascular system expends oxygen and circulates blood through your body. Cardio Beats helps combat the oxidative stress caused by physical activity by supplying you with key nutrients that support your cardiovascular system. These nutrients have also been shown to help improve endurance. Cardio Beats starts with organic beets, a rich source of nitrates to support healthy blood flow and oxygen transport. We've added whole foods from highly bioavailable seaweed and mango fruit, both known for blood flow support, and antioxidant-rich sweet cherries. Then, for even more heart health benefits, we finished it off with key amino acids. Take your physical endurance to the next level with Cardio Beats. Talk to your Youngevity associate for more information.
Understanding your microbiome can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Ultimate Microbiome by Youngevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your Youngevity associate.
Super Greens is a one-of-a-kind blend that's loaded with hard-to-find nutrient-dense superfoods. We've used what we've learned from our more than 20 years working with mineral-based nutrition to create one of the healthiest, plant-based nutritional products available. Each superfood was carefully selected so that it complements and enhances the others. helping to maximize Supergreen's nutritional power. Next, we added a specialized fermentation technique to increase the bioavailability of each superfood. Finally, we put in powerful probiotics and enzymes for added digestive support to give you jam-packed nutritional support. Youngevity Supergreens, the highly alkalinizing super supplement that helps balance your body. It's the superfood all in just one scoop. Check with your Youngevity distributor to learn more.
More and more healthcare professionals and people seeking alternative and natural health treatments are turning to hemp-based products because of the growing body of research supporting its benefits. Youngevity has leveraged our years of natural plant-based nutritional research to introduce 3 new products. Hemp FX Soothe helps support muscles and joints by enhancing a healthy immune response and reducing free radical stress. For optimal results, it contains our hemp-derived CBD plus the powerful antioxidant glutathione. Hemp FX Relax helps ease the mind and the body for a deep and restful sleep. We combined our hemp-derived CBD with melatonin to help support your best night's sleep. To help support positive energy for your mind and your mood, we created Hemp FX Uplift. In combination with St. John's wort and a specialized set of terpenes and cannabinoid enhancers. To learn more about Hemp FX, contact your Youngevity distributor or visit hempfx.com.
About the world.
Yeah, let me just point out for your audience and for you the background. The United States has, with many of our Western allies and other allies and other countries, a treaty basically which is called the Mutual Assistance Treaty. And essentially it is an agreement between countries that if a person is indicted in a requesting country, in this case, the United States, and requests an extradition from a responding country, in this case, Canada, then under that mutual assistance treaty, the responding country, unless the request violates human rights or some fundamental policy of the responding country, must, under the treaty, extradite the person who is of interest to the requesting country, the United States. So that is where the situation revolves around right now. And the United States request is based upon the fact that under all the circumstances that are known by the United States government and its intelligence agencies, this lady who was the president of the company.
Actually, she's the chief financial officer, is my understanding.
CFO.
CFO.
Right.
Right.
I think that she's in order to jump and violate the sanctions regime which the United States has placed against Iran.
Correct.
And since the United States is being very aggressive with regard to those sanctions, they want to get her so that they can make an example of the. It's a treaty between Canada and the United States. Now, they can argue all they want that they don't recognize the sanctions regime, that the facts are wrong, that she's not guilty. But what they're attempting to do is not allow her to get into the United States justice system and have, a prolonged litigation, because she will not be given bail.
Right. Well, my understanding is, I mean, the Canadians didn't just sort of decide this overnight. I mean, the woman was basically arrested, I think, on December 1st of last year.
Supreme Court decision.
This is a Supreme Court decision. They basically, had the opportunity. She was represented by counsel. They argued that Supreme Court heard the case and basically decided that no, that she should in fact be extradited. So, again, I mean, this is a big contrast from the way things happen in the communist part of the world, right?
I know, but I have a doubt here. I'm sorry. The way I interpret it, and I may be wrong, it happens all the time, is that the Canadian Supreme Court did not say yes to extradition. They said yes to hearing the American reasons for extradition. Am I wrong there, Tom?
You know what? I haven't read the Supreme Court decision in Canada, but I believe that at this point the question is whether or not they're going to recognize it, whether the Supreme Court of Canada is going to recognize it. And the United States, position is, look, it's open and shut. We've made a valid request pursuant to our mutual assistance treaty. If you're not going to, the upshot is, if you're not going to recognize a mutual assistance treaty with the United States, then,
Right. So.
So.
Oh, look, it's definitely not looking good for her, that's for sure.
She's going to lose that. I mean, I don't see how, with a valid indictment of a requesting country, unless they can come up with some human rights issue or some fundamental issue of a violation of international law, I don't see how they get around it.
Well, she's not facing the death penalty. She's not facing the death penalty.
Which would have been the only option. I mean, would have been.
So it'd be very hard to argue that. And apparently she's living quite nicely in Vancouver. She has a $14 million mansion there. So she's
not precisely starving.
She's not exactly having a tough time in Canada. She's it's one of several residences that she has. But listen, this gets back to the whole point, Tom. The whole relationship between the United States and China has taken a very negative turn these last couple of months. I think clearly we're at a much different place from where we were at. Spread throughout the world and has caused enormous damage, not just to the U.S. but to the entire globe. I think that really started to sour the relationship, not just between the United States and China, but I think with a lot of the Western world and China. The repercussions of this have been enormous for the rest of the civilized world, and so that started it. We have this situation with this woman now being extradited to the U.S. And now we have China basically saying, we don't care about autonomy for Hong Kong. The agreement that we signed back in 1999 with the British to allow Hong Kong to have autonomy in its political affairs for half a century more, we don't care about that. We're basically going to, starting in September, we're going to impose our state security forces in Hong Kong. And Mike Pompeo, as Secretary of State, saying if you do that, Hong Kong will no longer be recognized as an autonomous region. and that's going to have additional repercussions for the relationship between the U.S. and China. Not to mention the fact, what does that do for Hong Kong? I mean, Hong Kong has always been seen as a sort of a bastion of democracy in that part of the world, of free trade.
One of the hubs of finance in the world.
One of the five tigers of the world, if you will, in terms of economic growth and stuff. Really an enormous economic engine that has actually facilitated in many ways the relationship between China and the U.S. with that strong sense of capitalism that exists on the island. What do you think is going to happen with this, Tom? Are we headed towards a potential conflict with the Chinese beyond sort of the economic and political sphere?
Well, clearly, yes. And let me just, I just want to finish up on the case involving this lady.
Yes.
One of the big issues is that if and when she is extradited to the United States, she's not getting bail. I mean, the government, unless the United States makes an agreement with Canada, she's a flight risk.
Right.
So that also has got to be, I mean, she and her legal team have got to be scared to hell about what's going to happen to her.
Sure.
So that plays into the position of what China, China doesn't recognize the kinds of due process that we have. Their due process is, akin to what every communist organization has. It's, basically a kangaroo court.
Right.
So I see that predicated upon what the Secretary of State has said and where we are not only with COVID, but also with our various agreements with regard to economic interests, that we're heading right for a huge, huge catastrophe with China. And, you can see the Chinese just they can't bend over, because if they do, their country explodes. I mean, that country is put together with armed troops, right?
An armed fist.
Right.
And so if they blink, interest. And once,
Inevitable, unfortunately.
let me just add one other thing.
Sure.
An announcement that came out yesterday, and that is that the UK government has issued 3 and by issuing visas as well.
So they're going to brain drain them.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
Thank you, Tom. I did not know that part about the visas, but obviously a developing situation, and look forward to finding out what happens.
Our NTV USA platform has its own smartphone applications. If you're operating on Android, please make sure to go to the Play Store, search up NTV USA, hit download and install. If you're operating on iPhone or any other kind of iOS operating system, please go to the App Store, search up NTV USA, hit simple, it's easy, but most of all, it's comfortable. There, you'll find notifications to all of our programming so that you can follow us and keep up with all of our shows. And every single announcement that we make here at NTV USA, Under every single program, you'll find a link that with a single click will take you directly to the smartphone applications. So what are you waiting for? Enjoy our programming. Stay tuned, stay connected, enjoy a nice cup of coffee. And remember, con una vista, basta.
As you age, factors like health, weight, diet, and lifestyle can all impact your bones, joints, and general mobility. Over time, you might start to experience stiffness or pain. Ultimate Glucogel by Youngevity was created to help you limit the effects of wear on your joints. It delivers a daily dose of collagen-rich gelatin your body needs for joint elasticity and maintenance. Ultimate Glucogel contains a 1-to-1 ratio of gelatin and glucosamine sulfate, which is a key building block of your bone matrix, cartilage, ligaments, tendons, and connective tissue. Gelatin's unique blend of amino acids not only help with muscle and joint health, but also has been shown to provide additional benefits to skin and hair. Ultimate Glucogel. Natural, optimal daily support for joint health. To learn more, contact your Youngevity associate.
Paying attention to your overall health also means focusing on the command center of it all, your brain. Factors like stress, lack of sleep, poor diet, a sedentary lifestyle, and the that helps with mental focus and cognitive activity. To enhance your body's neuroprotection, Synaptive's full-spectrum antioxidant blend targets 6
because of the growing body of research supporting its benefits. Youngevity has leveraged our years of natural plant-based nutritional research to introduce 3 new products. Hemp FX Soothe helps support muscles and joints by enhancing a healthy immune response and reducing free radical stress. For optimal results, it contains our hemp-derived CBD plus the powerful antioxidant glutathione. Hemp FX Relax helps ease the mind and the body for a deep and restful sleep. We combined our hemp-derived CBD with melatonin to help support your best night's sleep. To help support positive energy for your mind and your mood, we created Hemp FX Uplift. In combination with St. John's wort and a specialized set of terpenes and cannabinoid enhancers. To learn more about Hemp FX, contact your Youngevity. Visit hempfx.com.
A one-of-a-kind blend that's loaded with hard-to-find nutrient-dense superfoods. We've used what we've learned from our more than 20 years working with mineral-based nutrition to create one of the healthiest plant-based. Each superfood was carefully selected so that it complements and enhances the others, helping to maximize Supergreen's nutritional power. Next, we added a specialized fermentation technique to increase the bioavailability of each superfood. Finally, we put in powerful probiotics and enzymes for added digestive support to give you jam-packed nutritional support. Youngevity Supergreens, the highly alkalinizing super supplement that helps balance your body. It's the superfood-powered way to get more organic fruits and veggies in your day. Check with your Youngevity distributor to learn more.
To stay healthy, it's crucial to make sure you get the nutrition you need every day. But it's difficult to get all your recommended vitamins and minerals from food alone. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 by Youngevity is a simple, convenient, and affordable way to help your body get the essential nutrients it needs. BTT 2.0 supports your body's natural defense system with a proprietary blend of energy-boosting and body-loving nutrients. Plus, prebiotics, probiotics, amino acids, and enzymes that support digestion. But to get the most benefit and value from any multivitamin, your body must be able to break down the nutrients so you can fully absorb them. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 was specially formulated with synergizing cofactors to ensure you get maximum nutrient absorption. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 is the easiest way to give your body the balance and complete daily vitamin mineral supplement it needs. To learn more, contact your Youngevity associate.
Cuban exiles, young Cuban exiles living here in Miami, with the assistance of the U.S. government to basically try and take back and liberate Cuba. It was a very important moment in the history of the Cold War and the continuing battle between the U.S. and the Soviet Union. The invasion force obviously failed for a variety of different reasons, which we can discuss. But it failed, and it in essence led to the Cuban Missile Crisis shortly thereafter, where
Castro got emboldened.
Castro got involved with it, and was yet another very dangerous confrontation between the United States and Nikita Khrushchev, who was the prime minister of the Soviet Union at that time. And the United States almost had a nuclear battle as a result of it. Frankly, in the form of a few B-26 bombers, but Castro's Air Force wreaked havoc on the invasion force. There was not air support from U.S. aircraft carriers that were nearby. Kennedy got cold feet at the last hour and refused to involve American aircraft in supporting the landing force. Fidel Castro knew beforehand that the invasion force was coming. It was not a very well-kept secret. And he was basically able to repel the invaders. He had already rounded up many people on the island that he suspected of being sympathetic to the invasion force. All in all, it was a disastrous sort of invasion, very, very poorly planned, but executed by young men who tried to liberate their country from Cuba. It failed. And the reason I mention all of this is because this new museum is here in Hialeah Gardens. It's a very nice museum. And I had an opportunity to help the museum acquire a M41 Walker Bulldog tank from that era. Mm-hmm. There were 5 of these tanks that basically landed at the Bay of Pigs, on Playa Girón, as they call it in Cuba. And those tanks proved particularly effective during the invasion. They immediately tried to take over a nearby airfield. They entered into a long, drawn-out battle with the people that were defending that airfield. They did a counterattack, the militiamen, and the tankers basically fought them off and scattered them to the winds. To this day, they're still referred to as the Lost Battalion because the tanks were so effective in getting rid of them. But eventually those tanks ran out of gasoline, they ran out of ammunition, and them and the rest of the invasion force had to surrender because the promised support from the U.S. in terms of air support never materialized, and they were basically
to name this. And it was a defeat, but it was not an American defeat, number one. And second, I would like to point out that the Cubans that were there because, as it would happen to you, if someone confiscates a pharmacy that used to belong to your family, if someone confiscates a store, the convenience store, the 7-Eleven that you've run for 30 years, your normal reaction is to fight back. That's what they did. They fought back. They were incentivized. Let's not kid ourselves here. The American government was all in on it, I wasn't behind it, and was giving a complacent look to it, and helped the brigade getting trained, put some advisors. That's correct, but there was no direct involvement from the U.S. Army. The promise was that once the invaders, the Cuban soldiers, would manage to secure a beachhead for more than 24 hours, then the American Air Force would bomb. The invaders kept their word. Having abused so many of them, you have to, and they managed to get a beachhead. They get to a point called San Blas. I would encourage you to Google up the map of Cuba and see on the Bay of Pigs, the peninsula of Zapata, there's a town called San Blas. Up to there, these Cubans were able to get. Of course, they would have needed air support that never came. They were left in the swamp, stranded in the swamp. I would say, is one of the darkest hours in American and Cuban history. Castro won. Nobody can deny that. But it was not a blatant defeat because our people got scared. Our people got stood up. Our people got laughed to. That's what happened. Yeah. We were lied. That's the. I just wanted to make to clear the record on this.
Sure. So a very important moment in U.S. and Cuban history, Cold War history, for people that want to understand. Out to basically try and help the museum, and after about 5 or 6 years, almost 6 years of working very diligently, tanks.
What do you get?
We found it courtesy of the United States Army. It took a lot of bureaucratic paperwork and processing.
I can't imagine.
To go through it. We had a lot of support from Mayor Yoset de la Cruz from Hialeah Gardens, who was very instrumental, and in fact, his city has provided a lot of the financial support for the Bay of Pigs Museum. Let me rephrase that. The Brigada Asalto 2506, Assault Brigade 2506 Museum, not to be confused with a similar, but Yoset has been the mayor has been very helpful. In fact, the museum sits on Hialeah Gardens land, and I encourage you to go and visit it, and you'll see some of the photographs here. The tank was actually brought to Miami from the Anniston Army Depot up in Alabama. It was put on the back of a tractor trailer. You can see some of the off the back of that tractor trailer, and it weighs 25 or 30 tons, even though the engine's been removed. So, you know, that took away a lot of the weight, but it was still a very heavy piece of ordnance. It was taken off the back of the tractor trailer, positioned on sort of a reinforced concrete pad that had been tankers in the Brigade 2506. And that's an interesting sort of quirk of history. And you'll also see in the photographs Cuba's militia troops on the ground once they were captured. Another sort of sad part of that history to see U.S. servicemen that were involved in helping, with the effort. They were the four Americans that were actually killed as part of that invasion. And you'll see in the photographs there that there is a B-26 bomber there. That B-26 bomber actually came from Central America. It was one of the original B-26 bombers that was part of the Cuban exile invasion force. And a lot of history. It's a small little museum. It has a tremendous amount of history. I encourage you to go and see it. It's in Hialeah Gardens. It's right next to Westland Park, which is on 107th Avenue, right about 135th Street, I believe, in between 135th Street and 138th Street at 107 Avenue in Hialeah Gardens. A lot of interesting artifacts inside the museum, photographs of the over 100 young Cuban exile troops that were killed, photographs of the 4 Americans that were killed, part of the Alabama Air National Guard. It's really a worthwhile endeavor. I salute the city of Hialeah Gardens for making sure that this important part of Cuban American history remains in place and people can go there and get a sense for what occurred back, in 1961 on the island. And please, if you have a chance, go out there, take a look.
Like I said the other day on Memorial, we were on the occasion of Memorial Day. One thing is the politicians that vacillate, that bicker, that argue, and something else is the heroes that die in the trenches for our freedom. Let us not forget them.
Let us not forget them. See you again next week on Más con Más here on ENTV USA from the studios of Cachita Universal Studios. Thank you for joining us. See you.